Welcome, everyone. We are going to have a panel session with Millennials. As you can see, the seat all the way on the right-hand side, okay, it's not filled. It's not that he's just so young that he can't see over the table. Eddie's stuck in traffic. If he comes in during the session, let's have him join the panel, and he'll jump right in. So thank you for coming to today's meeting. And we also want to thank our esteemed panelists here. Most of them, if not all of them, are UCLA second-year MBA students. And we really, really appreciate you being here today to share your experiences with making payments, whether it's online, with your mobile device, at physical locations. And we shared with you a little bit about the audience here. The audience is filled with people who design, build, govern, operate. Did I miss anything with respect to payments? If I did, sorry about that. But everything about payments is in the audience here. And we're really interested in hearing more from you about payments. There's no wrong answer. So just tell us what you're doing, what you're experiencing from a payments perspective. What I'd like to do is go down. We'll start over here with Naya and have each of you introduce yourselves. Give us your first name. Let us know if you've got an Apple or an Android, and why did you pick that device? Okay? Sure. And please speak up in the microphone because we are recording today's session.
Hi, I'm Naya. I'm a second-year MBA student at UCLA Anderson. I'm 25 years old. And, well, I have Apple device. I pick it because I have been a long fan of Apple. I use MacBook, and, well, it's just like the environment, ecosystem of Apple is so good. That is why I pick Apple.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Apar. I'm Naya's classmate as well. I have about 7 years of management consulting experience before I joined Anderson. I have an Apple device just because it's more intuitive and has an amazing user interface than other devices.
Hi, I'm Emily. I have an Apple iPhone, and I picked the Apple phone because I wanted to use the social game applications.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg. I'm 28 years old, also a student at UCLA Anderson. I have a Samsung Galaxy, so I'm an Android user, mostly because I'm invested in the Google ecosystem there, so I like having all my information on Google all connected to my phone.
Hi, I'm Talia. I go to class with these guys. I have an Android because I'm not a big Apple fan. I'm not offending anyone. Apple always seemed like too complicated for me. I don't like the idea of like a closed. I don't like the idea of like the closed system, like the code. And I think Android is much easier for me to use.
Okay, well, thank goodness we have a cross-section. So show of hands, how many of you have signed up for Apple Pay, Google Wallet, or some other type of wallet? Okay. So, Apar, maybe you can tell us why you signed up for the wallet. What wallet you're using? Probably Apple Pay or some other wallet. Why don't you tell us about the wallet you selected, why you selected that, and how you use it?
So this was earlier when Google launched their wallet. I am a technology enthusiast, so whatever comes up, I definitely try to give it a go. There was no specific reason, not that I was carrying multiple credit cards, though I have a huge liability now doing an MBA at Anderson, but still it wasn't as if I had a lot of plastic cards that I needed to store at one place. But I started using Google Wallet because I wanted to see what it is. When Wallet came up, it was, I think, one of the earlier wallets into the market than any other competitor or any other competitor who had that kind of a brand as Google had. So that was my reason.
So what was your experience? Are you still using it now? You don't even have you've got an Apple phone.
Yeah, so I don't use it anymore just because I downloaded it, used it. It wasn't a very good interface at that point of time, and then just left it aside.
Great. Naya, what was your experience? What wallet do you have, and are you still using it?
I use Google Wallet as well. Well, I apply for that because I want to like buy a movie from YouTube and like it accept a Google Wallet. That is the reason, and I still use it from time to time to buy something from YouTube, but not on the mobile.
Oh, so you're using it on your desktop?
Yeah, and on my desktop.
Ah, okay. Great. So from a wallet perspective, when do you think, for all of the panelists, when do you think you'll be able to carry everything that's in your wallet today on your phone?
When, as in...
Talia, Talia, when do you think you'll be able to carry your driver's license, your cards, all that? When do you think that might be
Like in
available to
terms
have
of
in your phone?
years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would say 2 years if I had to guess.
Uh-huh.
2 to 3 years.
Okay. Greg, you have a perspective on that?
I think it'll be easier on the payment side, but as far as identity goes, I'm not sure. I think there's security issues that have to be dealt with, so I don't know if we'll see like a driver's license on a phone anytime soon. But definitely on payment side, I think it's moving in the direction, so it could be 2 to 3 years away.
Uh-huh. And who do you think is actually driving that? What makes you think that it's in 2 years? Who do you think will be the big player who will help out on that? Will it be a bank? Will it be Apple? Who do you think will be the driver?
Right now, I think it's Apple or Google driving it. I don't see the banks driving it. I think they will come along for the ride as more people start using digital wallets and as more retailers start to accept them. But, it's kind of a two-sided thing here. So I think as one side builds, the other side builds as well. But I think it's driven by Google and Apple.
Mm-hmm. Emily, where's your head at with respect to the wallets? Do you think you're an early adopter or you're waiting to see?
No, I'm not an early adopter of any technology, unfortunately. My concern with the wallets is just security. I know for the credit cards that we carry, they're moving to chip cards, which are more secure, so I'd be concerned about having my wallet on my cell phone and like what happens if I leave my cell phone in a cab and all of a sudden someone has access to my bank account.
So, Naya, you were nodding your head up and down. You're thinking about security as well? What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that security is a big thing, like preventing me from using digital wallet. Like carrying all those secure information inside my phone is like, for me, it's kind of scary because I have lost my phone like twice or like third time already. And it's really, really hard to think about like just depend on that device. But with like, if you carry physical card, when you lost it, you can just still call the bank and like get the new one easier than like just using the phone that people can access everything like, I don't know, your personal information and also your card. So that is what my primary concern for the digital wallet.
Apar, you wanted to jump on that?
Yeah, I would like to throw another side to this. I mean, we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, or last couple of years, Target, Home Depot, there have been a different kind of disruption, if I would have to put it that way. So I feel that, it may be like I perceive that having everything on my device would actually make it secured rather than relying on an infrastructure which a retailer has in place. Does it have, is it already breached? And is my information being leaked out? I mean, I'm relying on that particular retailer. And specifically what's happened over the last couple of years has definitely made me more conscious about it. So that may actually be one of the drivers and now with Google or Apple coming in, who already have a lot of your information and consumers have started to develop a trust around it, that it may be a driver to further this industry.
Great. So moving away from the mobile wallet for a second, Greg, maybe you can talk a little bit about your perspective on security. I assume that you have a couple of credit cards.
Sure. I have a few cards. As far as I can tell, I haven't had an issue with security. I know there have been mass leaks of information, so I've had to replace cards a few times. But personally, it hasn't affected me. I'm very careful with my credit cards. I don't just throw the numbers around. So, personally, it's not something I worry about, but I recognize that it could be a potential issue.
Now, how many of you have an account at a credit union or a bank? Raise a hand. Okay. When you were opening the account at the bank, how many of you were given a checkbook? Okay, great. How many of you were given a debit card? Okay, so all of them. Great. When you go to make a purchase online, how do you know which type of payment instrument you're going to use? Is it a credit card or a debit card, or is it something else? Talia, why don't we start with you?
For me, it would be like either, and it would be dependent on my needs, on my balance, and how I want to use the credit card. If I have like a remaining balance I want to use by the end of the month or not, so it will be very personal. Wouldn't have a lot to do with the website itself, just my calculations.
Okay, Emily, how do you know which type of card you're going to pull out, or do you use some other type of payment when you're making purchases online?
When I'm making purchases online, I either use debit card or I use PayPal. Sometimes for our school events, we have to pay by PayPal.
Oh, so all of you have PayPal?
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have Venmo? None of you. Have any of you heard of Venmo?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. So, Naya, why don't you use Venmo?
I mean, like, first of all, like, with PayPal, you can do a lot of things, a lot of, like, vendor accepting PayPal, but, like, Venmo, I didn't see, like, many vendor accepting PayPal. And second, with PayPal, you can, like, transfer money to your friend or your family, and, well, it depends, like, how many people use Venmo. But, like, from my circle, not many people actually use it, so, like, a lot of people that I know use PayPal, so it's better for me to use PayPal from that perspective.
Anyone else have a different perspective on why you're using PayPal over Venmo? Same thing? Okay. So if you needed to pay a relative or a friend, you would use PayPal? Yeah. Okay. Great. Do you all have bills that you have to pay other than tuition? Okay. So when you are paying your bills, how many of the bills would you say are you receiving electronically of all the bills that you have? Anyone want to share?
All of them electronically.
All of them electronic. I see Greg
I'm
saying
going
yes.
green, so I don't like this.
And is that why you went there?
Yeah.
Because it's green?
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Anyone else have a different reason why they went electronically?
I've moved a lot recently, so I don't like going through the hassle of changing my physical address. I'd rather just keep going to my email, and that makes it a little more convenient.
Yeah, that and the fact that sometimes going green gets you a discount. So why not go green?
Great. So where did you actually sign up for the bills to be paid electronically? At your bank? Do you go to each biller's site? Or do you use some other third-party processor that's not your bank and it's not at the biller?
Every time I opened like a new account for a new merchant, then you have the option if you want to get your bills electronically or not. I just check that, and that's it. It's pretty simple and it's fast.
Anyone else have a different thought when you're setting up for e-bills? It's just at the beginning of the setup. You expect to receive the bill, okay? And then when you're paying, are you paying? You taking proactive action, or are you allowing them to have access to your account number and it's debiting your account each month or for each bill?
So I allow access to all of the merchants I trust, and some of the merchants that I'm not so sure about yet, and I'm not sure I want to go for a long-term relationship with them, and I might switch them later. I'm not gonna enable them automatic access. I'm just gonna do it manually each month, so they won't have my credit card info.
Okay, and are you giving them your checking account number, or are you giving them your credit card?
For those I don't give automatic, the credit card, not the checking.
Okay. Anyone else have a different perspective on what they're doing? You're all paying pretty much the same way?
Yeah, so I do a mix. If it's something that varies a lot, so if it's like a credit card bill, I'll definitely go through the bill and see what I'm being charged for. Whereas if it's something more routine, like a housing payment or a phone bill or something like that, where it's a regular amount every month, I kind of let that one go automatic.
Yeah, I do online bank transfers because a lot of my bills go into my rent.
And has anyone had any issue with any of the bill payments that you've been making electronically?
I had some issue with the gym payments, surprisingly.
And what was that issue? What did that look like?
I don't remember, it was like a year back. They charged me for another month by mistake. I just contact them and they sorted, they fixed it.
Great. I'm going to open it up to the audience. I have plenty more questions, but I wanted to get the discussion going. Does anyone have any questions?
How did you decide which bank to do business with?
So yeah, this is an interesting one. So I moved to US about 4 or 5 years back, and that was when the crisis, the bubble had just burst, the second bubble. So I went to Bank of America to get the secured debit card, where you actually have to pay money and then you can use it, because I knew that I'm not going to be given a credit card just because I don't have a history. So I went through the process, and to my surprise, my secured debit card was rejected. And since then, I have received about 15 or 20 or a gazillion requests from Bank of America. The manager, whenever I go there, I still have my salary account there or my checkings account there. But she always tells, why are you not signing up for our credit card? You have an awesome, you're an amazing customer. It was no, I'm never going to sign up. I'm going to use Chase or another credit card, but never use a Bank of America card, just because I was rejected.
Great.
Well, I moved I'm an international student, so I moved here a year and a half ago, and it was just a bank I got recommendations for, that they are very welcoming to international customers, and they know how to process and work and start the paperwork for international students. So that's why it was Chase, by the way. Yeah.
Melissa?
For any of you who are either international students or were raised outside of the U.S., what's the biggest surprise in the payment system in the U.S., or maybe the system you grew up with or familiar with, and what's one innovation from the country of your origin that you would like to see brought into the U.S. or company?
So for me, I came from Israel, and the biggest shock for me seriously, was that I didn't get a credit card right away when I got here. I opened the account and I asked for a credit card, and they said no, and I was like, what do you mean no? In Israel, it's quite different. As long as I would like to say as long as you have a job, but it's not even the case. As long as you kind of grown up, I guess, and you have an ID, you get you open an account and get credit card. And that was a big surprise to me, that here it's completely different, and it has been a year before I got my first credit card within a very limited amount. So yeah, it was a shock.
So on the innovation in US, I feel that it's good for everybody, especially for the merchants, because there is a record, there is a bookkeeping, which is my credit history, which I think is amazing. It makes me more responsible, and it also ensures that the other person has a higher chances of getting paid, because it's going to get impacted on my history, or it's going to stick with me. On the innovation which I would like to bring from India, where I grew up, I think it's more relationship driven. It's more personal, and that is understandable because service here comes at a higher cost than in the developing countries. But that is one fact which I miss here.
For me, the thing that kind of surprised me is how many options you have here in terms of payment. Either you are vendor or you're consumer. I used to do e-commerce back in my country, and we have really limited option for customer to pay us, either to credit card or PayPal. Not many options as here. Here you can have a lot of options. You can do Square. You can use checking accounts. You can link it. It's just a lot of things open up, and I feel that here also many companies try to find a new way to disrupt this payment system, not just allow Visa or MasterCard to dominate the market. So that is the thing that kind of surprised me.
Right. I see we had a question over here.
Yeah. So several of you mentioned security as being a concern. Would you prefer to have a credit card that has a PIN to secure it?
I think I'd prefer to have a PIN. I don't think it's that much of a hassle, and I think it would make it a little more secure. I just spent several months abroad in Europe, and over there it was all about the PIN on the credit card, and there was much more. I mean, over there the credit card never left your hand, whereas here you might pay at a restaurant and see it taken away for a couple of minutes. So everything felt a bit more secure there. And at first it was kind of a hassle, but I think the slight hassle makes it, you feel a little more confidence in giving your payment information.
Emily, would that make you feel better?
I actually only use debit card. So I usually give my PIN if it's in person, but online I don't have to give my PIN, and I don't think that I feel like I would be more secure if I were, because, knock on wood, I haven't had my debit card stolen yet, so I haven't had that problem.
Great. And we have Eddie coming in here. We already announced that you'd be coming, so please join us. We got a question in the back over here.
Earlier, the question was that the bank provided you with a debit card and a checkbook. Have any of you used a checkbook?
Yeah. Yeah.
I write maybe 3 checks a year, so it's very rare, but every once in a while you have something that only takes a check, or you have to mail something, and then that's when I pull out my checkbook.
Yeah, I wrote 2 checks yesterday because one of the charity groups at our school only takes checks or Square, but then they charge you like 3% more.
Great. Hey, Eddie, welcome. Can you just introduce yourself? First name, do you have an Apple device or an Android, and why did you select that? And then we'll get back to the questions.
Absolutely. My name's Eddie Hoffman. I'm 26 years old. I'm originally from Santa Cruz, California. I live in LA, and I work as an actor and a model. I use an iPhone and iMac and Mac desktop, mostly because the industry that I work in, everyone works with those devices or that company. And so this way, when I send emails or I send videos or pictures, it moves fluidly.
Great. Okay, so now we're taking questions from the audience, and so welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So over here.
I'd like to ask each of the panelists, first of all, obviously, well, thank you for your time that you're giving us insights into your payment experience. But I'd like to ask the panelists, in the banking world within the last 2 or 3 years, there's been an enormous focus on mobile banking, the mobile experience, and in particular, mobile remote deposit, the idea of taking a picture of a check so that you can deposit it to your bank without actually taking it to the bank. Within this idea that our payments have evolved into such an electronic form, I'm curious for the panelists within the last month, practically speaking, apart from the sex appeal of this cool service to take a picture with the iPhone, how often have you really had to use that function to deposit a check when you actually got a check to deposit?
I use it many times. Yeah.
If you don't mind, who are you getting the checks from?
So these are like school checks. I get like my expenses paid for a social club activity. So this is how the school pays us back. This is the only way I think they pay back with checks. Mm-hmm. And these are relatively small amounts. So it's not like reaching the limit that you cannot deposit over the phone. So it's just more convenient that way. I do it like twice a month at least, all the checks I'm getting.
Some of the others?
I deposit about 6 checks a month, I would say, by photograph through my iPhone. I forgot to tell everyone here that I also have a day job on the weekends. I work as a nanny, and I'm paid 2 checks for that work week every week, one for being an assistant, one for being a nanny, and also reimbursement for my expenses. And I use that every single week, weekly, and then every time I work an acting or modeling job, I'm paid by check, and I deposit it by photograph.
We learned something new. Anyone else want to talk about their experience? Anyone not use it at all?
I rarely receive check like nowadays. Nowadays people just like direct deposit into your checking account instead of like providing checks. So like for me, I rarely use it. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I've used it, but I don't use it as much as Eddie, like 6 per month. I would use, I believe, like 6 per year, just because I'm not getting as many.
I think we need to all take up acting and modeling.
Yeah.
Question over here, Rich.
So if I heard correctly, all of you have done mobile payments, and if I heard correctly, the age range is somewhere between 25 and 28. In the last 5 years, has your view toward mobile payments become more or less conservative or stayed the same?
I would say less conservative. For myself, I mean, I'd say about 3 to 5 years ago, I would have been reticent to deposit mobily, and recently I've had the feeling more so of that my information is out there, and if people are going to steal that information, that's what's going to happen. But I mean, it's convenience for me personally, and I don't think that people are. I would be surprised if anyone's coming after me personally to steal my income or my money out of my bank account. So I just do it for convenience.
Well, I've started using these more and more, especially since I moved to the U.S. because they're much more common here than in Israel. So I use it a lot now, and obviously I'm much less conservative about it, and I'm not concerned either. It feels pretty safe.
Where did you get the confidence from? Was it from your friends? Was it from commercials?
Well,
what drove the increase in confidence? Just maybe the fact that you used it?
Well, okay, well, it's going to sound funny, but like with all honesty, I'm not concerned about security. It's just not something that concerns me. And maybe I should be concerned, but I go over my bills. I can see right away if there is something that is unusual, and I know I won't be paying something I didn't authorize. I know the credit company is going to pay, the card company is going to pay that, so I know I'm not going to be expensed out of pocket. So I'm at ease with that. I'm not concerned at all. But,
I think I'll be brand conscious. So if it's backed by Apple or Google or eBay, I would be more biased towards it just because I know about the brand rather than what was it, Venmo? No.
That is true.
Steve?
So several of you talk about going to the builders' websites to make payments. Do any of you go to your bank's website and make payments from the bank's website where you pay?
I do.
And what percentage of the bills that you pay are through your bank versus going through the biller?
Let me see. I would use the bank only if it's like a one-time transaction, or if I didn't authorize the vendor to have like an automatic payment. By the way, I only use the bank from my phone. I don't think I ever visited like the real website. It's just from my phone because it's so convenient for me.
I think that's a great question because like 4 years back, I remember I used to create accounts, within Bank of America. If you need to pay somebody, you create an account and you wire him that money. But over the last 3 years or 4 years now, I haven't done a single one because of mobile payments, because of PayPal or other devices. I don't need to. Nobody is comfortable in giving their routing information or account number information, and I don't have that hassle of plugging in the data because I have a mobile option of seamlessly paying.
So just to clarify, the mobile payments that you're making are through Bank of America's mobile bill pay application, or are you going to each biller's site using the mobile device?
For those specific ones, which I'm paying to a friend, I'm just using PayPal. So
right.
There's been a shift from mobile Bank of America or internet Bank of America to PayPal.
Right. Naya, is there anything you wanted to add there?
For me, like I usually pay through like the biller website, rarely through the bank. The only thing that I pay through bank is like my utility bill because my biller doesn't like set up the website except like online payment. Yeah, utility there. Really, the last one who liked innovative.
Wow. We got a question all the way in the back.
Have you ever changed your primary bank, and if so, why did you leave the bank, or why did you go to a new bank?
Well, I changed my bank back in Israel. I don't know if that's relevant. Well, here I only started with Chase, and I still with them. But back in Israel, when I took a mortgage on my home, so I switched to a bank who offered me a better offer, and I switched all of my accounts to work with them.
I bank with 3 separate banks. I bank with U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America. I keep different accounts for different entrepreneurial ventures that I have in terms of acting or modeling or nannying or working with my dad as an antique dealer. And the main reason I have switched banks before this, where I am at now, is because of the charge for having a checking account or a savings account. And so now I have, they transfer $25 a month. I'm not paid to. I don't pay every month to have those bank accounts. But yeah, I mean that would be the biggest thing, is that if I'm being charged to have a bank account with a bank, I'll leave and go find another bank that I can have those bank accounts without an annual fee. I currently maintain 3 separate banks with 4 separate bank accounts, or 4 separate checking and savings accounts, and 1 safe deposit box.
And not paying for them.
I'm not paying for any of them.
Right.
The safe deposit box, I pay an annual fee of $45 a month through Wells Fargo, but I'm willing to have that. Yeah.
Greg, Emily, you want to share what your banking experience is?
Yeah, I use Bank of America, and I've had it since I was in high school, but when I went to college, I was in Philadelphia, so I had a local bank account with PNC Bank, but I closed it when I graduated and stuck with Bank of America. And I really hope this doesn't go away, but they give me, when I make a payment on my debit card, they round it up and give me like the change, so it's really nice.
That's
and I set my bank up when I got my first job out of high school. I just went to my employer's credit union, and I've just maintained that since. So I could probably get better rates if I switched banks, but just the convenience of having that same one keeps me there.
Right. I know we got a question in the back. Joe?
How often do each of you check your physical mailbox?
Once a week is how often I check my mailbox. But my brother checks it the other day. He's my roommate, so I guess as a household we check it about 2 times a week.
Once a week. Me too.
I check daily.
I check daily as well to remove the trash.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash.
Weekly.
Yeah, weekly too.
Right. Good question over here.
For those of you that have come from outside the U.S., are you helping to pay for school with funds that are outside the U.S.? And if so, how are you getting here to pay?
I did a bank transfer from my bank in Israel to Chase, and just been using Chase to pay them, I think, electronic payment each quarter. That's cool. Yeah, well, it's a lot of paperwork because it's international transfer. So you need like a SWIFT code and all that, but it's just a one-time thing, and then it's there, and that's it. But it wasn't very easy. It was a little bit of a headache, actually. Yeah.
I use Citibank, so it's like they have like network all over the world. So like if you have just like Citibank in Hong Kong, you can use it in US also, like and just like easy same account transfer. So you don't have to deal with like SWIFT code and anything like that. So that is why I choose Citibank when I came here.
Right. I know we got a question. Third table from the front here. Woman with the glasses. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
I have a quick question about, you all said you set up automatic payments. When you do that and you're having it taken out of your bank account, do you use your debit card or do you actually use your bank account?
It's usually debit. I would usually debit.
For me, it depends though, like who is the biller. If I trust them, like for the school, I would give the checking number. But like if there's someone that I don't know, I would just use the debit because it's easier to change and cancel that way.
I'm sorry, I missed the automatic payment. I don't have any automatic payments set up through my bank accounts. I pay all directly with my credit card usually.
Right.
How much cash do you regularly
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say I don't even have like I think a single dollar in my purse. I just keep forgetting to deal with cash. I can barely recognize cash when I see it. I like barely use it.
I'd say $20 to $50 generally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a gas station, Arco, which takes only cash and it provides cheap gas. So I only use cash for them and get cash for that. Other than that, average 20, 30.
And why do you use cash at the gas station?
I mean, Arco is pretty reasonable. They don't have other alternatives. That's how they give you that service.
Okay.
So, like,
So you,
yeah.
okay, so the savings. Okay. Any other questions? Yep.
So when is the last time, besides when you opened your bank account, have you stepped into a bank? besides using an ATM on the outside?
I go every other month because I pay my rent through check because my landlord, I don't know. That's how I pay her. So
That's an easy one, actually. Laundry coins. You need to get quarters. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a really good point. He's right. He's right. Yeah, I'd say about, for me, about 3 to 4 times a month, almost weekly. I'll step actually in and speak with the teller.
I was in a bank in September, and it's the first time in years I've been to a bank that was just to get an updated card with a chip on it to use in Europe.
Yeah, like 6 months ago because I had to wire money to one of my friends.
Yeah, for me it's like 6 months ago too because I have to yell at like the bank.
So in this paradigm shift between electronic and paper, for a lot of the people that are in the room before you, older people, and even for us older people, our parents, one of the sort of nicer things about paper was that sort of ubiquitous effort of sitting down every month and reconciling your statements and having your pile of checks at tax time and things like that. I'm curious, for you, in your monthly payments experience and your banking experience, do you ever sit down and rec your account with your expenses and your statement that you get electronically? Or are you operating from the point of view as a running total for what you see in your mobile banking experience? That's what I know that I have, and it's cool, and until I get my direct deposit from my job or the check that I remotely deposited, are you running day to day on that balance, or are you actually sitting down at some point during a month and wrecking your account?
I just started using QuickBooks, so I sit down once a week and I go over all of my full income statement with expenses and income.
So you compare it, your bank statement versus your independent QuickBooks statement?
Yes. That's recently, though, sorry. That's recently.
I would do it once a month, just going on total expenses and total balance, just checking out.
I've used Mint.com, maybe not as regularly as once a month, but every once in a while I'll check in and make sure, just see what I'm spending, see what my budget is like.
Anyone else use something like Mint where everything's aggregated?
I use Mint too. It's easy to see like how much you spend and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any other questions? So I would assume that all of you are signed up for Uber? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So the one thing that a lot of the folks in the room here are really interested in about Uber is that it makes the payments frictionless. You get in the car, you don't have to think about the payment. It just makes it really, really easy. Are there other applications that you think payments could be frictionless that would be like an Uber experience? I know OpenTable's been experimenting with this as well. When you think about the places that you go and the services that you buy, could something else be Uber-like?
Movies.
say gas stations as well.
Mm-hmm.
What about Amazon? Is that already Uber-like? Because if you have an Amazon account, then your credit card is connected to that account, and you can just buy anything that you want. And it's pretty frictionless, I'd say.
Amazon, you have one click, which is really easy. You don't have to think, just click and buy.
Yeah.
How many of you actually use Amazon as your main way of buying online?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Emily, how do you buy online?
I usually go to the site for the store that I'm buying for, but if it's like beauty products or books, then I'll compare it to Amazon because it might be a better deal on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. And do the rest of you who use Amazon, as everyone except for Emily had raised her hand, for those of you who are using Amazon, do you do other shopping to compare pricing, or is convenience what's driving you to the Amazon experience? Or something else?
Convenience.
I compare prices. Amazon's usually the cheapest, but even before I buy something, I'll search around just a little bit to make sure it still is the cheapest.
I think till about a year back, I used to compare prices, but now Amazon has earned my trust. I don't. I just buy it from there. I think can I take 30 seconds? So to your earlier question about Uber, when Uber launched in India, one of their challenge, along with the tragedy which happened in India, was that India doesn't allow for one-form authentication. They allow for two-form authentication. And that was one of the challenges for Uber to enter into that market, because the two-form authentication was removing away from the user experience. So I just thought I'll share that.
And how did that actually get resolved? Does Uber now require a multi-factor authentication, or are they able to operate with just one factor?
I'm not sure, so I won't like to be quoted on that. I'm not sure if they were able to meet with the regulators and decide on what form of authentication to use.
Great. Any other questions here? I thought it might be helpful to think blue sky. So you've got all these people in this room who are designing, building, operating, and governing payments. Is there anything that you would like to say to us about what might be an ideal experience? Stop doing something, start doing something. We've got a whole bunch of people here who are waiting to hear what the next new thing is.
I would say everything that is mobile. I only use my mobile for almost everything, and it's the most convenient thing for me. So everything that can go mobile, like payment apps, managing your account apps, like other than the bank app, I think that will be next week.
If someone did not offer that option to use a mobile device, would you avoid engaging in commerce with them?
No, not necessarily. It really depends. Like for my bank, it was very important for me that the bank app would be like easy to use and quick and reliable. But for other non-occurring businesses, I wouldn't mind that much.
Right.
For me, I think like instead of thinking just only about mobile, like why wouldn't we take it further to like wearable? Because right now we will have like watch and stuff like that, but you can carry with yourself, and it's not easy to lose as mobile. So like if you can use the stuff to pay, or like if you can just walk to the store and like all your information stored in your wearable, and when you buy something, you can just like use your wearable to pay it, it might be easier than mobile.
How many others of you think that wearables is the next frontier on payments?
What was it?
The wearables, like
wearables.
the watches, is the next new thing in payments. So majority of you. And tell us a little bit about why you think that wearables is the next frontier. Is it about convenience?
Yeah, I think it's about having to carry less and make a payment more seamless.
For me personally, I like using my mobile device right now, and I think I could transfer to using a watch or a wearable, something like that. But I don't like having too many separate devices. I enjoy the mobile experience now. And back to, I'm sorry, what was your question before that, though? We were talking about
The question was
payments.
about the future. What's the next thing that all of us should be thinking about? What should we stop doing? What should we start doing? What's the new frontier?
I was going to say, personally, I look at a lot of different credit cards, and I'm always thinking of getting new credit cards, and I don't know if you all deal with that, but I noticed that a lot of the jargon that's written into these credit cards and what benefits they have and things like that, it seems very hidden, and I have to go through a lot of information before I can find out like how many miles exactly I'm getting per points, how to get my points. You know, it took me a long time to even figure out how to cash in my cash rewards with Bank of America. And I don't think I think that might seem beneficial from the standpoint of the business, but from the consumer, it can be annoying. And I would go with a company that just seems upfront and gives me the information directly, as opposed to having to read all these papers and keep going and calling the bank and saying, I want all the information about this travel rewards Visa card or what have you. That's what I would say personally, is that more convenience with credit cards.
Would you opt for a card that was more straightforward and potentially offered less rich rewards, or would you work your way through the minutiae to get a better reward offer?
I think that it's possible that I would take the first option and take a card that's worse, that's more straightforward, because I only have so much time in the day. And if the benefits are there at all, then I'm going to go, okay, well, I'm just going to use this. This sounds good enough, as opposed to this other card that's way off here that is actually better, but it's going to take me an extra, 3-4 hours to find that card, research it. Unless one of my friends, of course, came to me and handed me the, directly. Yeah. And that's why I started doing the check transfer, is because of my friends. My friends were all depositing their checks mobily, and they're like, you should just do it. And I was like, okay.
Anyone else on what we should start or stop doing in the industry? What would be the next new frontier?
Say stop rejecting debit cards of international students or people.
What did you say?
It is to my earlier story. I can tell you offline.
Okay, cool.
Right. We've got another question over here.
If you have a question about one of your accounts or a problem with one of your payments, do you find it important to be able to talk with a customer service representative? And if not, what is your preferred method of doing the research yourself in the office?
I prefer to speak with a representative, and the only time I've ever had a problem was with Bank of America, and they have the online chat or immediate chat with a representative, and I'll use that, and that's really convenient for me, because if I'm doing something else on the computer and they put me on hold, I can kind of be there, and then it pops up, and he talks or she talks to me, and I've solved all my problems through Bank of America through the online chatting.
I think that Amazon is a great example for great customer service, that you don't have to speak to a representative. You can just type the question or concern, and all going like in the website online to really fast and easy. So they send you a label to your email. I do that a lot. And that's why I trust them. That's one of the reasons I won't even check for competitors' prices when I buy stuff at Amazon, just because of the customer service, and I totally trust them. And if I'm not satisfied, I know that they will handle that so quickly, and I won't even have to wait on the phone for anyone. So that goes a long way for me.
Yeah, I'd actually prefer not to talk to a live person. I'd rather just leave a message and get it taken care of. I feel like when you talk to a live person, you have to pay attention to hours, and you might have to wait for 30 minutes or so for someone to speak with you. So I think it's much easier for me to just leave a message, not even an instant message, but like send an email or fill out a form or something and get it taken care of when I'm not necessarily there watching it.
Yeah, I usually solve problems over the phone, but then you have to set aside time to make the phone call.
Yeah, but I think sometimes like the issue is so immediate that you definitely want to get on the phone and solve it right there. I think a better alternative could be if you have like a chatter, like a Salesforce platform or a CRM platform where I can chat with that person. I know there have been some innovation in that area, but I'm not sure how successful has that been. So that's one area I would think.
That's great.
I want to just add to that, this idea that everything is invested so heavily in our mobile. Eddie and others are talking about the heavy reliance on their mobile. Have any of you experienced like a meltdown? Like my mobile is gone, it went in the toilet, it died, and there was times when all of us remembered phone numbers of our family members. I don't know the numbers of my poor kids, which is scary. If the phone goes down or if the network goes down, or God forbid we lose power in LA, we're all cooked. Have you, literally or figuratively, we're an island. Have you considered the ramifications of that, or would there be some benefit or effectiveness to some sort of life ring or something that would allow you to somehow recover from such a calamity?
I'm friends with, I have a connection with a lot of people that are on my mobile device through Facebook. So anytime that I've lost my phone or it's been destroyed, I can either send out a message on Facebook and tell everyone, hey, my phone was destroyed, here's my new number, this is how I'll connect with them. In terms of being on a desert island, and I feel for us millennials is that we, technology is moving quicker, we have to think faster. We can't keep the information of all of our friends' phone numbers in our brains, because to make money, at least, I believe, you have to be focusing on other parts of your life that are more important. Create more autonomy for yourself. And it's delegation, really. If you have a device that can keep all this information, you're going to use that information because you have to be spending your time thinking about something else.
Rich.
I have a sneaky suspicion I know the answer to this, but I'd like to hear a response from each one of you, I can. So when making a decision on a payment method, which is more important to you, security or convenience? You have to choose one.
Convenience.
Yeah, I think convenience. I feel like security, if something went wrong, I think there's enough of the infrastructure in place to correct it. So I'd take a little hit on security for convenience.
Most of the time security, but sometimes convenience.
Say convenience.
Security, because I got hacked once and I'm like, I kind of got scared after that.
I would say convenience, but the same thing is if I had been hacked or I had someone steal my identity, then I would immediately, of course, now say security. Yeah.
Norm?
We haven't talked about one feature of a mobile device at all here, and that is voice communication. And just out of curiosity, how would you say your usage of your mobile devices in terms of voice versus applications or apps, text messaging, and what's the most important feature of the phone for you?
Apps and text.
I was about to say text, but I think text makes it very robotic. When you voice over it, it becomes like a 3-paragraph. So I think it depends upon adoption. So earlier on, when Siri came up with Apple with 4, I believe it was 4S, when they came up with Siri, their voice recognition was not the best. And I used Siri at that point of time and didn't like it. Now, there have been a lot of improvements on voice recognition, but it has still not been able to take the customer back. So I think it's important to acquire the customer at the first time, otherwise it becomes difficult, even if there is utility behind it.
I'd say in terms of business, actually giving phone calls and emails is the first reason I started using smartphones and things like that. Email especially because of the industry that I work in. But I guess I'm kind of like old school now because I like talking on the phone to people that I do business with especially. But as I've progressed, especially over the last 5 years, in terms of your question earlier, I've used a lot more applications, and I noticed that I'm interacting with my device much more through applications than just using text message, email, and phone calls.
One last question.
Yeah, I'd like to ask about virtual currencies. I'd like to see if any of you used anything like Bitcoin or what your experience has been.
I haven't used Bitcoin. My friend, he was investing a bunch in Bitcoin in the beginning, and I don't know, I didn't trust it. I didn't see how you invest and then you get your money back.
I never used it.
Yeah, personally, as an investment right now, it's so volatile, it doesn't make sense, and I don't see the advantage to me personally using that instead of just using dollars in a retail outlet. So I've interest in it right now.
I've never used it, but I have a classmate who swears by Bitcoin and is even like we were traveling in another country and she was meeting up with other people that trade Bitcoin. So she's really into it and seems to think that it's what we're going to be using in the future.
I haven't used Bitcoin.
Yeah, I haven't used Bitcoin either, but I think the main reason is not many people, not many vendors actually accepted it. So it's two-way communication. Even if we want to use it, when people not accepting it, why?
And is that why you wouldn't use it, Apar? Is because of the ubiquity, it's not ubiquitous, or you don't trust it?
I think what happened a couple of years back, that is made me, I feel it's money laundering or whatever. That stuck with me.
So we talked a little bit about Amazon being a trusted provider. If Amazon accepted Bitcoin, would you change your mind?
I would still use cash with Amazon, or not cash, but U.S. currency or euros or wherever I am, but I'm not going to use Bitcoin right now.
Bitcoin gives me no advantage that just using cash doesn't, so I'd rather just pay in cash.
I would probably trust it more if Amazon accepted it.
Great. Well, Bill, one last question, and we're going to wrap it up.
You mentioned that you're all users of PayPal. If your bank provided the same kind of capability that PayPal provided to make a cash transfer almost instantaneously, would you prefer that? Would you continue to use PayPal? What would be your reaction to that if that same capability was offered like that?
I would absolutely prefer that. I would use my bank over PayPal, absolutely.
I would go with whichever one it's easier for me to use.
That is true. It depends on how you decide the structure of it. With PayPal, you can just put the name and email and everything. You can transfer money easily. But I don't know when the bank try to do it, you have to put like the account number, routing to transfer it. So it's harder for us to use.
Great. Well, I want to thank the entire panel for sharing your deepest, darkest thoughts about payments, as well as for the audience asking those questions that we really wanted to have answers to. Thank you so much.
Did we pay him with an ACH credit?